Hey folks, it's Wayne
And Paul.
from the Countdown Podcast. This is your 2-minute review of The Many Saints of Newark.
Right, and this one is directed by Alan Taylor, written by the Sopranos creator David Chase and Lawrence Kona. It stars Alessandro Nivola, Leslie Odom Jr., John Berenthal, Vera Farmiga, Corey Stoll, and Ray Liotta. And it's about 120 minutes long, and it will cost $50 million to make. Now, the critics have been sort of relatively kind. Rotten Tomato has a 73% approval rating, with a 6.9 out of 10 being the average mark, and Metacritic has it at 6 out of 10 or 60%. Cinema score, bit harsher, C+ on an A+ to F ranking. Wayne, what is The Many Saints of Newark about?
It's just about young Tony Soprano back in the, I guess it was the 50s, and it was in Newark, and it's about him and his uncle, Dickie Moltisanti, who have basically been doing the same gangster shit forever and stuff like that. And it's basically, the movie is about how he grew and started out to become Tony Soprano, the one that you know. If you're a fan of the Sopranos TV show, you're going to like this, I think, maybe.
Or is it really about that, Wayne?
Okay, so everyone, we don't really agree on this.
No, because really, there's not much about Tony here at all. What is thrown in there, I believe, is sort of shoehorned in and doesn't really have a place in this film. It really should have been about Dickie Moltisanti and what he was going through at that particular point in time.
Well, I would argue that it is about Dickie Moltisanti, and that movie, and that actual story, that plot is, in fact, good. I cared about the character. I cared about all the stuff that had to do with him. Yes, it checks in on Tony every now and then, and yes, that's probably not how the movie was sold, because it seemed to, sold to be like about him, but it's not. And I think that's fine.
Coming of age film about Tony Soprano.
But that would have been boring if it was a young ass Tony Soprano who's like an adolescent and he's just doing dumb shit like around school and stuff. That's not a gangster movie. I want to see Dickie Moltisanti, and I want to see Dick all the time, right? I always do, and that is what made it cool for me. You're seeing Big Pussy, you're seeing, no, sorry, that's the name of the character. You even see young Carmela, you see young Paulie, you see all these dudes that are from the Sopranos, and as you're watching the show, you're like, oh shit, that's that guy, that's Artie Bucco, that's this guy, and it's really, really cool. So I loved that part of it, and I loved it enough that it made me like really want to watch the show and continue wanting to watch it. I was never bored in this. I was never bored.
Whereas I thought this film was not really a film. I thought it was a glorified episode of The Sopranos. If you haven't seen The Sopranos, you should not bother, because there's not enough in terms of a narrative structure of this movie to hold you there.
No, see The Sopranos first if you want, right? Don't watch this if you're not a Sopranos fan.
No.
It's probably not enough for you there.
All right then, Wayne. So out of 100, which is how we score on this particular show, what are you giving The Many Saints of Newark?
78.
Whoa. That's, in fact, I'm giving it 57. That's as good as I can go. Yeah.
Okay, criminal.
Like, follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow the links down below. Check out the full 20-minute review of
20-minute review is in the link down there.
Yep.
So
the podcast. And thanks so much for joining us today.
talk to you guys soon.
Cheers.
See you.